Greetings, Algebra 1 students. This is Mr. Palomo with your EOC review day number 4. And in this video, we are going to be covering reporting category number 4, which encompasses writing and solving linear functions, equations, and inequalities. The first TEK is 8.2c, and the question reads, the table represents some points on the graph of a linear function. Keep in mind, it's a linear function, mx plus b. Which function represents the same relationship? In other words, which one of these answer choices represents the correct equation for this table? So let's eliminate two of these answer choices by finding the slope. Actually, notice that all these slopes are different. So after we find the slope, we will have our correct answer. So let's pick 2 points on this table. I'm going to pick this point and this point. So negative 7.5 comma 12 and also negative 3.5 comma 0. I'm going to use my slope formula from the formula chart. But first I'm going to label my point x1 comma y1, x2 comma y2. So if I substitute, I will get the following. I will get 0 minus the y1, which is 12. All over the x2, which is a negative 3.5, minus the x1, which is a negative 7.5. If I simplify, 0 minus 12 is negative 12. If I were to distribute that right there, this will turn into a plus. So negative 3.5 plus 7.5, which is 4. And this right here reduces to 3. So the slope to this line should be negative 3, making our answer A. If I want to be 100% sure, I am going to use my calculator to check. I am going to graph h of x, and it should give me every single point on this table. If you hit graph, technically we didn't even have to hit graph because we're going to look at the table. So you hit second graph, and here is your table. The 2 points I know for sure off the top of my head are the only points that will be on that table on that calculator are the x values that are whole numbers. So let's look for these 2 points, and again, only x values that are whole numbers will appear on that table. So let's look for negative 1 comma negative 7.5 and 2 comma negative 16.5. So let's see if they are in our table. So when x is negative 1, my y value is negative 7.5, which is correct. I believe the second x value was 2. Let me look for 2. And at 2, the y value is negative 16.5. Therefore, this answer choice is correct. Go ahead and try the following question. Pause your video. These next 2 questions cover TEK 8.2i. And if we look at this question, the tables of order pairs represented some points on the graphs of line Q and V. So here's line Q, line V. Which system of equation is represented by the lines Q and V? So notice that these equations are in standard form, so it's a little bit harder. It's not that it's harder, but it's going to take you more work, more steps. So the easiest way that I can think of doing it is finding the slope of each line and then converting your answer choices to slope-intercept, see which two have that correct slope. So if I start for line Q, the points that I'll be using for line Q are these 2. So let me go ahead and write them down. By now you should have no problem finding these slopes. I'm going to skip some steps. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The numerator gives me 18. Denominator gives me 6. The slope is 3. So the slope for line Q is 3. Let me find the slope for line V. I'm going to use these 2 points. So it is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. My slope for line V is negative 1/2. So these are the two slopes that I am looking for. I'm going to start with F and go down and see which one of those two equations has a slope of 3 and negative 1/2. I'm going to start with this equation. I'm going to solve for y. Divide both sides by -1. And just with this right here, I see that this answer choice is not correct because the slope there is 21. So F is not correct. Let me try G. Notice that I don't even have to do the second equation. So if I try G, I'm going to try this one first. 3x minus y is equal to negative 27. Subtract 3x on both sides. Bring everything down. Divide by -1. And y is equal to 3x plus 27. The slope matches. Let me check my second equation. This equation is good. So x plus 2y is equal to 16. And if I solve for y, I subtract x on both sides. 2y is equal to negative x plus 16. Divide by 2 on both sides. And y is equal to 1/2 x, negative 1/2 x plus 8. The slope matches. I am 100% sure that this will be the answer, but let's check H and J just to be sure. So let me erase both of these. And notice that I selected my answer just by looking at the slope. Well, here, let me write those down just in case I'm going to double check on my calculator. So for H, I'm going to try the first equation. Notice that it is very similar to F, so I already know that's not going to work. But let me go ahead and just try it so you guys can see it. Minus 21x on both sides, so negative 1y is equal to negative 21x plus 9. Divide by -1 on both sides. Y is equal to 21x minus 9. The slope there is 21, so that right there is not correct. Let me try J just to be 100% sure. So I'm going to try the first one. 9x minus y is equal to negative 27 minus 9x on both sides. Bring everything else down. Divide by -1, and y is equal to 9x plus 27. The slope there is 9, so I was correct. The answer there is G. If you want to take this one step further, I will graph this one, I will graph this, look at the tables, and your table should match perfectly with every single point. Pause the video, try the following question, making our answer C. These next two questions cover TEK 8.5a. This question reads, what is the solution to the following equation? In other words, do we have to solve for x? So remember from our review in class, there's 3 ways of doing this. The way from middle school is you guys plugging in the answer choices. Plug in x here, and the left side should equal the right side. The Algebra 1 way is you distributing and solving, and the last way is you graphing the left side, graphing the right side, finding the point of intersection on the calculator. So let's do it both ways. 0.3 times 12 gives me 3.6x. 0.3 times negative 16 gives me negative 4.8. On the right side, 4/10 times 12 gives me 4.8, and 4/10 times negative 3x gives me negative 1.2x. You are solving for x, so we have to get the x's on one side. Well, first, notice that there are no like terms on the left, no like terms on the right, so let's move the x's. I like moving my smallest one, so opposite of negative 1.2 is positive 1.2x. So this leaves me with 4.8x minus 4.8 is equal to 4.8. If I add 4.8 to both sides, that leaves me with 4.8x is equal to 9.6. If I divide both sides by 2, that is incorrect. I'm solving for x, so I have to get rid of that 4.8. It is being multiplied, so opposite operation is division. X is equal to 2. So now I'm going to check this on the calculator. I am going to graph the left side. I am going to graph the right side. I'm going to find the point of intersection between the two lines. After I do, the x value will be my solution. So 0.3 times the quantity 12x minus 16. That's the left side. Now the right side is 4/10 times the quantity 12 minus 3x. Graph. There is my point of intersection. Second trace. I'm trying to find the point of intersection. So number 5, intersect. First curve is blue. Good. Enter. Second curve is red. Enter. I'm not going to guess. Enter. Notice that the x value is 2. Therefore, my answer is correct. Go ahead and try this question. So the left side is negative 5x minus the quantity negative 7 minus 4x. That's the left side. Now the right side is negative 2 times the quantity 3x minus 4. Graph. There is my point of intersection. Second trace. Number 5, intersect. First curve is blue. Enter. Second curve is red. Enter. Guess. My answer is 0.2. 2/10. 2/10 is equivalent to 1/5. Therefore, we are correct. These last two questions cover TK 8.5c. And this question reads, 2 customers went to a post office to buy postcards in large envelopes. Each postcard cost the same amount, and each large envelope cost the same amount. The first customer paid $12 for 14 postcards and 5 large envelopes. The second customer pays $24.80 for 10 postcards and 15 large envelopes. What was the cost in dollars of each large envelope? So this right here is a problem testing the your ability to solve systems of linear equations according to the TEKS. So let's set up our 2 equations. So for the first customer, first of all, we have to assign variables to this problem. The x will represent the postcards. Correction, it is the cost of the postcard. And the y will represent the large envelopes. And so for the first customer, represent the cost of the large we envelopes. Have 14x because it's 14 postcards plus 5 large envelopes is equal to $12. For the second customer, it is 10 postcards plus 15 large envelopes is equal to $24.80. So notice that this right here is asking for the cost in dollars of large envelopes. And at the beginning, we stated that the x will represent the cost of the postcards and the y will represent the cost of the large envelopes. So to solve the system, I'm going to graph it, find the point of intersection, and my answer will be the y value, the cost of the large envelopes. Keep in mind that you can also use substitution and elimination for these type of problems. But let me go ahead and solve for y, and I will graph them and find my point of intersection. Now my second equation, 2 over 3x plus 2480 over 15. I'm going to graph both of those and find my point of intersection. And the answer will be the y value again, because the y represents the cost of the large envelopes. negative 14 over 5x plus 12 over 5. Second equation is negative 2/3 x plus 24.80 over 15. And if I graph it, here is the graph. I see the point of intersection, so second trace, number 5 intersect. So here is my point of intersection. It is 0.35 comma 1.42. So 0.35 comma 1.42. Question is asking for the cost of the large envelope that is being represented by the y. So the answer is 1.42. Notice that if it was asking for the cost of the postcards, the answer would be B. No idea how they got C or D. Go ahead and try the final question. Notice that I'm putting parentheses around the numerator because it's the negative 13x plus 92 all over 2. Here's my point of intersection. So second trace, number 5 intersect. Enter, enter, enter. The point of intersection is 6, comma 7. Making the answer A.